Well, hello everybody, welcome to this week's ITL. Actually, this week I almost did not shoot the ITL for this week because I talk about whatever's on my mind, as everybody knows. And actually I got a few things on my mind this week. One wasn't on my mind until just last night. This is Friday, recorded on Friday. But let's go ahead and go with the first one. Actually, beginning of the week, is if you follow my channel on a regular basis, I put up videos and shots of the snowstorm I got on last weekend. And earlier this week, I mean, for you that do follow my channels know that I had SVT and I had it ablated back in 2001. But yes, I've had a extra pathway. And if you don't know what SVT is, it's whenever your heart has numerous pathways instead of just having the one up and down in the heart to send the signals. And if you have numerous pathways, say more than one even, your heart has certain triggers. Your heart may take off on you and just basically go out of control with a really high heart rate. And due to the stress of the pain of removing the snow and everything earlier this week, I actually had an episode. And I do not know exactly how long I was out, but I did end up blacking out inside my SUV. I knew what the feeling was from having it before, and I did make it back to my SUV because I was out about on Tuesday, and I was able to make it to the SUV. And whenever I came through, I mean, I had a friend that said, "Wow, we didn't know what happened to you," because I didn't say anything. I just went to the SUV. I did tell one friend, if I don't come back in, say, 10, 15 minutes, come out and be looking for me. But I mean, it was within, so I know it was well within the 10-minute range. But yeah, I did end up blacking out on that. But yeah. But that's neither here or there for you guys, really. But to come to find out, I mean, shortly after that, I can't remember exactly which day it was, I was notified by a very good friend, motovlogger, used to be a motovlogger. He used to do the TDD report. That's the mayor, nicknamed the Suburban Rider. That I got the word that last week, and I wasn't going to say this, but put this out because I mean I respect privacy, and I respect especially whenever they were very, very good friends. Actually, I considered him a brother. Levi Thomas 8. He was the previous owner of the goat. On the ride back from Iowa, from his house in Iowa to Chicago, we got really close on those 2 days, really, really close friends. And, I mean, I understood him. I understood where he was coming from. And I grew up with that type of mentality with my dad from being in the Marines, still in Vietnam. And, I mean, we were just like two peas in a pod. But he ended up, Navy Thomas 8 did have a stroke last week, and like I said, I wouldn't have even said, I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to shoot the ITL because it would be hard for me not to say anything because of my concerns and worries about him. But he did come out on a hangout last night for Dante Fox, and he was there, and it was explained by his brother in the background what had happened. So I feel kind of like, okay, it's okay to go ahead and put out the information to you guys. Well, I know a lot of you guys don't know who Navy Thomas 8 was, or is. I'll say is, because even though he doesn't motovlog too much, or he didn't do it this for a while now, he still did his on the porch show, videos, which is really similar to, well, like I do here. And people ask me why do I call it the I.T.L? Because I named it because I normally like to do it in the lawn. Whenever it's good weather, I do it in the lawns, and I can go anywhere with that. But he was one of the original motovloggers that I followed before I started doing motovlogging. He was one of the ones I actually wanted to model my motovlogs after. Not the only one. He was one of them. And most of them were actually in a group that actually at one point in time was a small private contest against yourself, basically called the Polar Bear Challenge, which I will be talking about in the future. And you can see it's chilly. I had to shut the heater down because of the noise. Because you probably see my breath. I hope it might not show up. I don't know. It's not because I have bad breath or anything. It's just too cold. But anyway, get back on track here. He was a member of the Polar Bear Challenge, and like I said, I will be speaking about the Polar Bear Challenge here real soon. But yeah, him and I got to be really good friends, and actually like brothers. And now, I mean, he's back. He was in the hospital, I guess, last week, and this week he got home and was recovering at home. That's all I'm really going to say about it, because I really don't know a whole lot of information myself. I just know that, and I don't want to spread any disinformation. But you can see how it kind of hit hard. It hit really hard. But yeah, if he watches this video, which he doesn't watch all my videos, which is it's not expected to be all you watch all my videos. But it's like, if he watches it, I am thinking about you, and I hope you for a speedy recovery as much as you can, at least as much as you can. But yeah, let's move on from this. Kind of a solemn thing. Let's move on. I mean, I don't know how long this ITL is going to be, and normally I'd apologize for if it is lengthy, but I'm not going to this time, because the last few months, this has been, I mean, what was brought up last week, and it didn't make me mad. It just, how can I say this? It disappointed me in a way, because people tend to talk out of term and they don't realize it. Because, I mean, and I'll say this because I was challenged last night, and it's been done once before by somebody pretty close. And I'm not going to say their name, and they'll know who it is. And if they step forward, good. I mean, if they don't, that's good too. But I'm not going to name names who challenged me, who brought it up last night either, because they'll know who I'm talking about. About me riding in the wintertime. This person, I mean, it'll be obvious if you watch the Hangouts, who rides four-wheelers or ATVs. And first place, I ride two wheels. Not to put anybody down that rides ATVs, great if you like that. That's excellent. But I kind of see it as there's a big difference between riding four wheels and two wheels in the wintertime. It's just like it's a big difference riding two wheels and four wheels off-road. Big difference. But I did belong to the Polar Bear Challenge. I was not one of the big runners, no. And if I can, I will overlay the bits and pieces of the videos, like a couple of videos that I've downloaded. One of them will be my lowest temp, which was actually recorded at 13 degrees. I've actually been lower than that while I was riding. It was actually went down to like a little bit under 11 degrees. And I'll post and also put in a couple of shots of doing the rides. If I can, I'll remove the audio, of course. I rode through blizzards at night. And what you can see in the video is actually a lot better than I could see. Snow does not bother me. Ice does. I have slowed down riding in the last few years, yes. Before my hip revision that I had done, not this last November, November before that, I slowed down. The hip was bothering me. It wasn't stable or strong enough to do the riding that I want to. The hip still isn't done strengthening and making it, I call it healing. It's healed up, technically. It's just not strengthened and worked out, and it's going to take a few years for that. That's why I'm not riding in the wintertime. Or me and this bike would be out on that freaking road. To say that I don't ride was irritating. To say that all I see is you talking beside the bike was irritating. Didn't piss me off or anything, part of my language, but it was irritating. The person who said it's to me, a polar bear challenge rider, it was irritating. You know, you take it the way you want to. To be honest with you, it is what it is. It really is. I have proof, and I was like, you know what, obviously you haven't gone through my videos. Because I have playlists on my channel, and there's a playlist of Polar Bear PBC, Polar Bear Challenge. Is all of my rides in there? No. I have a good number of them though. I've already proven myself, and this was actually at a young as being a new rider. A lot of these videos are made. I just started riding in 2010. I really didn't get into it until 2011. I got the bike, the goat, like almost a year after. Actually, it was almost exactly a year after that. Because I got the goat just a few days after my birthday. And I got my license on my birthday. You can say what you want. I can come back and say, I've already proven myself. Look at the videos. And I don't have training wheels. Now, do I show my off-road riding? I don't do serious off-road riding. I do mild off-road riding. And I've gotten myself in trouble. Did I make it on video? No. That goes against my wording. If it's not on video, it didn't happen. Yeah, you can say that. But I don't show that stuff because a lot of times with my camera setup, it's on top of my helmet, if I go through brush stuff, I don't want my camera hit. I got too much money in my equipment. So, you call it an awful rant, sort of? No, I'm going to call it informing. Because if you think I don't ride, you're sadly misinformed. Go back in my videos and see it. I'm working to get back to that. If you don't understand it from being a physical that's stopping me, something physical stopping me right now, that's on you, that's not me. Most doctors don't even want anybody to ride a motorcycle, period. At the time I'd have. My doctor was that kind of cool about it. He was cool about it as heck. But, he said, you're going to do what you're going to do anyway, as long as you're being safe. And going out on my alley whenever it's covered with ice is not safe. It is what it is. Whenever you compare an ATV to a dual sport, 2 wheels, that's apples and oranges. The only similarities is they go on and off-road. ATV is not really meant to be on-road in the first place. They can go on and off-road. That's like saying apples and oranges, they're both about round. But that's neither here or there, I guess. Yeah, 2 people hit a sore spot, made a sore spot. That's okay, that's cool. That's cool. I've proven myself. It's on video. I might joke around to people about it, but you know, the same people, I kind of like sit back and said, you know, that's all cool. That's all good. As long as you like what you're riding, why should it matter to me? Why should it? And if you're not set up for winter riding, that's cool too. That's not on you, on the ability to ride. That's you just don't have the gear for it. Do you have to have expensive gear to winter ride? No, I've proven that. I don't have expensive gear. The expensive gear is my bike and my cameras. But yeah, that's the way it is. Now for you that's got to go through with me, hear me complain about this and rant or whatever, I apologize. But you know who you are. And I'm just informing you. Sadly, I mean, it kind of went along with on the ITL anyway, in my eyes, because it linked by the Polar Bear Challenge. Sadly, the Polar Bear Challenge did die off. Like everything else, there's an end date. Everything expires. It's like fish. If it sticks around too long, it just stinks. But it was, I mean, it was fun. And basically, it was basically you challenged yourself. You pushed yourself to ride, to see how cold, how far you can ride in the wintertime. It wasn't meant to be between individuals, like me and Joe or whoever, you know what I mean? And I met a lot of good people doing it. I mean, I remember Gentleman's Nine. Dave Thompson I knew before that. I knew Suburban Rider before that. I mean, Big Bill Chicago. I got into him. I met him face to face. Very nice guy. I never heard anything from him for a long time. I don't know what's going up with him. And even online, even though I didn't met him face to face, another good one is BC. I can't never remember the last numbers. Because it's a group of numbers behind his name. And I mean, the Buckeye Boys. Actually, I met them before Polar Bear Challenge, but I mean, good guys to ride with on a Polar Bear Challenge. I mean, they're just a good group of guys. Sadly, it was just time for the Polar Bear Challenge to die, to go to bed. Say, dying is not really a good word. To be just put to bed. I will always, whenever I'm able to ride, I will always ride year-round. Because it doesn't bother me. The cold really does not bother me to ride it, because I know how to dress. I grew up hunting from teenager on, whenever you're allowed to hunt. I've always been outside, though, working and everything else. I knew how to dress. It's not a problem with me. The couple rides, I was actually surprised how cold I was getting, but afterwards I just adjusted my gear, my equipment a little bit, and I was okay. And also I didn't know the difference back then with the heated grips, how far they actually, I mean, after it gets so cold, heated grips don't mean anything anymore. They just help within a certain temperature range. The biggest thing that kept me warm, if you're going to keep warmth, is actually with the KLR, keeping my legs around the heater, by the heater, the motor, and then the heat actually came up, and it kept your lower extremities warm, which in tandem with the blood flow, it helped. Then I had the cowl to help block the air from my neck and stuff in the helmet, and you got to take care of that visor. The visor fogging up, that was a problem. I always had it cracked, which let a lot of cold air in, but it wasn't nearly as bad as keeping it up. But yeah, I mean, the Polar Bear Challenge was a bunch of fun, and you learned a lot. The skills you learn in the Polar Bear Challenge, riding in the wintertime, goes over to the rest of your life, the rest of your riding skills, and it just enhances it. It hones it down to be safer. And the trick is to be willing to learn, because if you're out there act like you know it all, I'm sorry to tell you, you don't know it all. In my eyes, nobody really knows it all. But yeah, let's move on here. I think I probably ran this long enough. Oh, there was another thing I was wanting to talk about. Well, I'll try to remember for next week for about Ron C. And I mean, it was actually a good conversation. He brought up about it, and it goes along with something that I started up within the last month. At the end of my videos, I'll say 73. And actually, that, as you can tell by when it started, it's actually due to ham radios. And I didn't notice it whenever on the videos, but I was kind of adding the S as if plural or whatever. And I'll talk about that more next week. Because, I mean, some ham radio operators will actually, they use the S, and some don't. And I think the ones that use the S may not know the meaning of the S in the end of it. And, I mean, I looked this up before I even took my technician test, because I want to learn, and I want to try to do the best I can, things right, the right way. But, I mean, I figured I'll go ahead and I'll explain about the S and the 73 next week if I remember. If I don't, I'll apologize ahead of time. But Ron C brought that up, and I didn't realize that I was actually adding the S on the videos. And I've actually checked myself whenever I was actually do contacts on my ham radio, my HT. That's handy talkie to you guys don't know, people who don't know. And I've actually checked it. Do you catch me using the S? No, absolutely not. And the people that I talk to actually around the area, they tend to use the S. So it doesn't bother them. But I said, yeah, I'm constantly not using it because I know the meaning behind it. And I try to be, to me, it's respect. But yeah. Sorry about that, Ron C. You got pushed out this week, and we'll talk about it next week, though. And it's not really a big deal either way, but I figured it was a good point and something to put out there. A good discussion. But this is MuzzleMike. Open. You have a great week. Signing out. 73.